My commute might be 50 miles, but you can't beat the fucking view. Alright, so before we can work on adjusting the alternator and water pump belts, as well as all the other belts, because you have to take those off in order to get to the alternator and water pump belts, we're going to try and degrease the engine because it is covered in oil. I think it's got a valve cover leak or something like that. And yeah, I've got this array of glorious degreasing compounds. This one is, I am confident, is far older than I am. That one's probably the same age as me, maybe a little bit older. Bought that one a couple months ago along with that one. We're going to try and use all of that up. I'm hoping those guys are still good because that's going to be primo. That stuff's like $14 a can. That was $3. But those are probably also 30-something years old. But hopefully they work and we can get all the grease off the engine so that I can actually find the alternator bolts, as well as the compressor bolts and the power steering pump bolts, and be able to do this without getting covered in grime. Well, too much grime. Here's what I'm talking about. Yeah, all over here by whatever this guy is, not quite sure. Vacuum line? Yeah, that must be the vacuum pump down there. It's real nasty. And it goes all the way down there to the AC compressor. The alternator is pretty much fine, and I don't think we're actually going to have an issue with, well, not much of an issue with the power steering pump. But yeah, I think the valve cover gasket is a little bit shit in the bed, and I'm hoping that's all it is that's just leaking down there. Or it could be all the gasket around the vacuum pump or something like that. I don't know. Doesn't seem to leak much oil, it just seems to leak enough to make everything nasty. So we're going to try and degrease that. Just so that I can keep my hands a facsimile of clean. Cut wire? Smut wire. Still works. Hey, and that shuts off now. Progress. Alright, so I'm looking into why the flasher is not flashing, and I read online that it's potentially your hazard switch. If this goes bad, then it breaks the entire circuit because everything is essentially in series with each other. So if this unit goes bad, all your flashers stop working. They stop flashing, and now mine don't even light up. So I'm thinking since I did all the fuses, it's probably that guy, and it's some sort of Rube Goldbergian contraption going on in here instead of just a switch because German. So I took this center, let me just put this back in park before I forget, pulled this center console out. It's just pop the ashtray out, take those two Phillips head screws out. They're probably not supposed to be Phillips head, but that's what they are. Unplug the contact for the cigarette lighter from this, and then just sort of pull this one way, pop this up, lift it up over the top of this, put this guy over here in neutral or drive, pull it up, and then you can release these two little springs and pull her right on up all the way through, and then I just unplugged her, and I'm just going to leave her like that. And what I was told is that if I bridge 49 and 30, I think, these two, your flasher should work. So I'm going to jam a paperclip in there or something and give it a shot. Alright, so I've just taken a piece of like heavy gauge electrical wire or baling wire, I don't know what it was, just jammed it into contacts 30 and 49, at least I hope they were 30 and 49, and we're going to re-hook the battery back up, put the key into the on position, and see if our blinkers work. Alright, I don't see any flames yet, so let's see if something happens. Oh, nothing. Great. Oh! We got right turnage now. Let's see if we have corresponding light. We got that light now. That's progress. We got nothing for this guy. Not blinking though. What happens if I pull this out? Well, that definitely did something there. So I think it's multiple things. Could be this guy, because it's kind of crunchy, or could be the flasher unit itself, which I think is like way too much money, so we'll just never have blinkers. And one last thing for today, we're going to throw these drains down in there, and luckily that one fits. And we're going to stick some bastardized cotter pins in them and call it a day. There, that should hopefully keep all the Mises away, at least for now. One chunky rat. Got my eyes on you too, Toad. No funny business. And your name shall be Mildred. Mildred the thick rat. Bye, Mildred. Alright, well, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode of Wildlife Safaris with Tom. Honestly, if you're into that kind of shit, I have an entirely separate second channel that should be badooping up here. Because that's my day job. That's what I actually do. So if it ever seems like I'm totally incompetent and I have no idea what I'm doing with cars, that's because this is literally a hobby. I've only been doing this for like 2 years. Yeah, like the that Honda outboard back there, that's the first motor I ever owned, well, other than a chainsaw. So if you want to see me more in my element, go check the biology channel and go learn all about a bunch of stuff that you don't care about, and then immediately zone out, not subscribe, and come back here to listen to me swear at a car while I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, to get back on track, I got a new flasher because this was like $5 on Rock Auto, which was way cheaper than anyone else. It was like $15 on Amazon and like I think like 20 something on Pelican Parts, and this was $5 for the exact same part on Rock Auto. So I snatched me one of these, and we're gonna huck it in here. It's not gonna make any difference. I still gotta buy the flasher unit, which I think Pelican is the only one who sells, and they're like $50. So that's gonna be a while before I get one of those. It's gonna be after we get the brakes done, and this thing is, you know, fixing to be street legal, because until I assess the bearings and make sure that all the bearings are good, I just need to jack this thing up on jack stands and spin all the wheels and make sure I have bearings. Well, I have to pull the brake calipers off, and anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stick this in, and it's been a couple weeks, and it's going to be a couple weeks more before I get back to this car because of yonder garage and having to move and a bunch of other stuff. So this is smack dab in the middle of a video, so you're not going to notice it, but if I come back and I have no idea where the hell I was or what I was doing, I think I was going to degrease this thing and change some belts or something. But I'm not going to be able to touch this thing for like another month once it gets thoroughly hot, because it's nice out. Anyway, I'm going to throw this new switch in here, and maybe I'll crank this thing up and drive it around. I'm interested to see if this will start in this warm weather without ether, but I think my battery is dead, so probably not. Whatever. Alright, so we're just going to take this and just do that. And there we are. Now we have a hazard switch, and our flasher relay should not be having a broken series circuit. And I found something interesting. Also, this thing is just like thoroughly broken now, so I'm probably going to pull it apart and just see how destroyed it is. But when I was on Pelican Parts looking at these, the Euro Parts one was like $15. The Hella one was like $30, and then the genuine OEM Mercedes Benz was $60. And if you look right there, Hella's the one who makes OEM for this part for Mercedes. So, yeah, people saying that German manufacturers don't scam you for OEM parts. They are both blind and stupid, and also double stupid. They mark that shit up so much, like, Jesus. To be the exact same part from the same manufacturer, but just have, I guess, just having the Mercedes symbol on there. I don't even know if that's the difference. I think they probably use the same molds, but twice as much for the same part just because it's in Mercedes packaging. Jesus. But anyway, I'm going to go spray some ether in this thing. Or actually, I'm going to hook up the battery, and I'm going to just see if this cranks. If it does, then we might try and get her to do a cold start on this in this absolutely frigid Oh Lord, it is so nice out. It's like 73 out today. It's beautiful. Anyway, we've actually had a protracted spring this year. We had one last year, so hell is freezing over, quite literally, because that's about what our climate is. Alright, battery's hooked back up, gave me a spark, so must still have some charge in it. Air cleaner shows no additional signs of mousage. Haven't lost a drop of coolant. Still all on the top of the block. I just ran the primer pump about 30 times and we've got the fuel system primed, purged. I think I'm just going to crank her over and see if she starts cold. The only reason I think she won't is just because I probably don't have enough battery, but we'll give it a whirl. Alright, we should be able to tell how much charge we got left by the sound of this buzzer. Sounds decent. It's still doing that pedal thing. That's bothersome. Where'd the flashers work now? Oh yeah, switch works. That's good. Anyway, I'm gonna let the glow plugs run, you know the drill. I'll come back when I'm ready to crank. Well, the glow plug light is back to not coming on, so that's not a great sign. I don't know how I fixed that before. Will you hush? Thank you. Anyway, spoiler alert, the glow plug light is back to not turning on. Don't know what's really causing that, but the battery's dead. So I'm going to assume that's probably the root cause of the problem. Something to do with me leaving this battery unhooked for forever. So I'm going to go charge the battery and we ain't going to start this thing today. So yeah, just whatever, bye. Well, it wasn't a complete loss. I finally got this rubber foot back onto the emergency brake, which I wasn't able to get on because it's been cold. Also, I have no idea if the emergency brake does anything. Miraculously, this cable in here moves just fine, and this pedal moves just fine. The release doesn't do anything, so that's probably an issue. But I bet that's just some sort of ratcheting something overly complicated 700 part German thing that's just full of rust and seized because it's had water drip on it for like 16 years. But as far as I can tell, the e-brakes are doing something, but I honestly think all of these calipers are seized, and I just need, once I can get this thing into the garage, to just put this thing on stands, pull all the wheels, spin them, make sure, or take the calipers off, do a complete brake overhaul on the whole thing, and once I have the calipers off, spin these hubs and make sure all my bearings are good. Probably pop the caps and re-grease all the bearings, repack everything. This car's never been flooded, so I don't really think they need to be replaced, but we shall see whether or not we have any slop or not. All I can hear at the moment is that something is not happy up at this one, and from how clean the rotor looks compared to every other rotor, well, that one's pretty clean too. I have a feeling these are dragging. I have a feeling that the rubber hoses have collapsed, and so I put pressure on the brakes and they close, and then they don't unclose and they just stay there grabbing onto the rotor, and that's why this thing has no giddy up. And it sounds like, you know, the transmission is dragging and all that, probably because there's, you know, it's acting like it's towing a truck or something because it's got so much damn friction. But anyway, that's a later day problem. Man, this sucker has been going for about 4.5 hours, and it's only moved about maybe 2 amp, so yeah, she's pretty dead. Don't think the alternator's working. Yep. So anyway, I think I'm gonna let this go overnight because it's not building any heat, so I don't think I'm gonna boil it. At least I hope I don't. Alright, battery's back in. Charged the thing for about 5 hours, and it's got 12.7 volts on it, so we're going to assume it's fully charged. Anyway, getting that thing in there is a needlessly difficult process. I don't know why they couldn't have given you like an extra inch or something over here on this air cleaner or something, anything. I mean, it is tight as a damn glove getting that thing in there, and it doesn't help that it weighs like 60 pounds. Oh, but anyway, it's back in. We're not going to run it today though. I have one other thing I want to try and do. and that's glue this Porsche badge back on for no reason other than the clout, and because I can. So this was originally soldered on, it looks like, and for whatever reason it fell off. So I'm just gonna epoxy it back on and hope for the best, and we'll see if it falls off or not. Just got some 5-minute epoxy. I'm just gonna mix it up, hold it in place for a couple minutes, and hopefully it should stay under its own weight. And if not, we'll prop the hood open at a 45-degree angle and it should stay. I don't have any tape with me. Could probably use one of the bungee cords, but I don't really feel like it. So we're just gonna try and epoxy it in place and hold it until it can hold on its own, and then just leave it for the day and then put the hood down this afternoon. Alright, so we've ladled way too much epoxy onto this. And I've just sort of slapped it on there and wheeled it around for about a minute and then held it in place for another, and it's stuck on there. Still loose, but it'll hold it. So I think I'm gonna let that sit for a couple of minutes while I go find something to do, and then we'll come back, lower this down, and let it sit over night, and then hopefully this should be good for as long as this grill is attached to it. But that's it. We got our Porsche badge back on there, so now everyone will think that I also have a completely ruined garbage Porsche somewhere as well, which I don't. But I can at least flex on people and pretend I do. I mean, that's what everybody else does. Whoa, bam. Well, she appears to be setting pretty good. Basically no wiggle left in it, and the reason why I didn't pull this off and like try and solder it back on or epoxy it or do something like that is because these screws are toast, and the second I put any torque on that, they're both going to snap off, and replacing those are a lot harder than just coming out here and epoxying this, taking 10 minutes out of my day. So that's what I've done. So we're going to set this bad boy back down, and I think she should be good to go. Stylin'. Alright, so it's been a week or so, just fired her up. The glow plugs aren't working as far as I can tell. I think that relay box in there has gone out or something. Like, I don't get anything out of the light, but you know, it's like mid-70s out today. I just gave it a big squirt of ether, ran the primer pump, turned it, and it fired up with no problem at all. So I don't think there's, you know, an issue with compression or anything like that. I think they're just maybe, you know, bad glow plugs. So that's a really good sign that she fired up with basically no fuss. She's spitting out some smoke just sitting here idling, you know, white smoke. Just looks like unburned diesel. I don't smell anything particularly terrible. I'm just gonna run around the block. I was thinking, you know, I've been really sweating this thing, like idling at 90 degrees C. You know, every car I own idles at 100 degrees C. Like, they operate at, well, not 100 degrees. They operate at like 95 degrees C, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? I think that's like 103 degree, whatever, math is hard. Fuck Celsius. 95 is like totally fine as an operating temperature. I mean, under the conditions, there's no reason it should have been, you know, running at 95 degrees C, you know, being like 50 something out and it under no load. But I think I'm just being a worrywart. So I'm gonna go run this thing around a bit and just see if it starts doing something dangerous. Like I really don't like 110 degrees C. If it's staying above 100, it's just, I don't like it. Or 105 degrees C. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm gonna shut up now. Car fired up just fine. Glow plugs aren't working. I'll figure that out at a later date, but she does fire up when it's warm out. I'm just gonna go run around the block, see if she, you know, what she's doing in the cooling department, and if any of the wheels have seized and whatnot. And yeah, then I think I'm gonna come back and I'm just gonna spray some degreaser on it, just a little bit on a sample area. Like, I'm gonna pick a real cruddy area, like probably just right there. I'm just gonna go spray a patch right there and then come back and spray it another day and just see if it does anything. I don't think this stuff is gonna destroy seals, but I am gonna try and like aim it at a spot where there's like not obviously any like gaskets, and you know, see how well it does. Well, I'm just driving her around and she has this horrid whop, and it feels like it is driver's side front tire. Either I've got a huge flat spot on that tire or that brake caliper is just totally fucked. But she's staying cool. She's staying at like under 90 when I keep the RPM up. even with this sort of horridness going on, you can hear it screeching too. But as long as I keep the RPM up, she stays cold. So I think the overheating thing is actually, fixed for the most part, once I get those belts done. But I'm pretty certain I've got a really not good brake thing. I'm really hoping it's not a bearing, because I was looking at the bearings and, they're not expensive to do, but they look to be a real pain in the ass. I think I need to, like, cut races off and stuff like that. So anyway, we're just gonna... Yep, brakes aren't working. Oh, that's not good. Well, brakes seem to be mostly not working. Let me try those again. They work, but they are shitty. Anyway, back behind me here, I don't know if you can see this Rock Auto box. Almost ran into a tree there. But yeah, I've got brand new brakes and all of that. I just didn't buy new rotors because I wasn't sure if I needed them, but I'm pretty certain I do. But we're gonna do the pads at the very least, check around all that. Whew, that does not sound good. Got new hoses as well. I'm pretty confident these rubber hoses have collapsed, so the brakes just stay stuck. It takes a massive amount of force to engage the brakes, and then when they do engage, they stay engaged. So, it was like, $20 for 4 hoses, so I just went ahead and did it. But, something's not happy on this wheel down here. But the car appears to be cooling. It's hotter than it's been any other time I've been driving it, and it's staying, right where I want it, actually. It's staying at 85 now. That's good. So anyway, we'll park it and see if something horrible has happened, if all the oil fell out or something. I don't know. We'll see. It's just nice to be able to drive it and not go, oh, look, I'm going to blow a head gasket. Guess I'll pull over and stop for an hour. All right, well, we made it back, and she's idling well. Making a funny smell now, and I have lost all brake pedal. Like, the brakes do nothing now, so that's a bad sign. So I think I might have popped a brake line. Don't know. Guess I'm going to look at the master cylinder and go grab the IR thermometer and point it at all the, the brake calipers and just see if any of them are like 700 degrees. Let's see if the engine shuts off. Oh, it at least does that, so that's nice. So anyway, I don't like that smell. It smells like an electrical fire or something. Yeah. So I'm gonna go rectify this. I'll catch you whenever I'm looking at stuff. All right, well, checking the brake fluid. It's all still there. I hadn't gone anywhere. Taking the IR thermometer and checking the rear rotors right in front of the caliper. Get me 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's nothing crazy. Clearly they're stuck for how little I just drove, but that's nothing I'd be worried about. Yeah, this one's not even 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But if I come up over here to the front ones and I check right here in front of the rotor, just tell me about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's check the caliper. 160. About the back side. Oh yeah, about 300 down there. That's probably not good. And if I do this, yeah, brake rotor's hot. I didn't drive very far. I probably drove less than 3 miles right there. And if I come over to this side and check it, 200 on the rotor right there. If I check the bottom of the caliper, if I can get this stupid thing to work, 150 down there, 175 on the caliper. Yeah. That one's not as hot. So front brake calipers appear to be seized or locked or something. I don't think I popped a brake line though. Because all my brake fluid is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere, but my brake pedal doesn't do anything. So I think my calipers might be stuck all the way down. I still feel like the master cylinder should be doing, I feel like it should go down and then get harder. I'm going to pump it up real quick and just see if it does anything. Yeah, it doesn't get... Oh, there it goes. Okay, well, it builds pressure, so the master cylinder isn't gone, but I think the calipers overheated and seized, so yeah, definitely may even need new calipers. Shit, definitely need new rotors. Great. Anyway, that was going to be the next thing I worked on. Other than I was going to pull the thing over to the garage, degrease the engine first, then pull it over there, then do the belts, then put her up on jack stands, and then handle the brakes. So probably just going to continue to do that. But anyway, I'm going to go spray some degreaser on the engine, and we're going to let that sit for probably day and a half, 2 days. Come back, hit it with a hose, and just see what it does. Because this thing is crody, and I'm kind of interested to see what this, generic degreaser, generic 40-year-old degreaser will do to a, 40-year-old engine. So let's check. All right. Well, this stuff is very explicit about it being needing to be used on a cool engine, and not to have it touch any rubber or plastic. So in the interest of me not wanting to have to buy $400 in rubber and plastic, I think I'm just going to wait and do this another day. But anyway, car runs, stays cold, but the brakes don't. Brakes don't break and they get too hot and they seize. So yeah, needs a brake job. But yeah, shit, I don't know. Today we're going to answer a question I have long agonized over. One that has been plaguing me since I got this car. And that is, does this Skinnerd CD actually work? I don't know about you, but that sounds like demonetization to me. Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. Ooh, that smell. Oh yeah. We've got our theme song. We just got to get a new radio. Well, we got more parts. We got rotors in now. But more curiously, I came over here and the bumper was hanging off and there was dirt on my bumper. And I'm like, God damn it. If my cousin's kids are walking on my damn car, I'm going to go give him a stern letting no and not actually doing anything. But then I noticed they're on my hood too. And then come up over here. That's a cat print. But here's the curious thing. We don't have a cat. Well, we do, but we don't have a cat in this house at the moment. My cousin doesn't have a cat. My other cousin doesn't have a cat. And the other cousin doesn't have a cat. And the guy who lives next door to us is only here, like, occasionally. So I don't know where the hell this cat came from. Because it's like a river and 700 acres of not cats. The closest cat I know is like a mile that way. So that's odd. Maybe it's just maybe it's a bobcat. Maybe she's out here eating Mildred and all the mice. That's a good thing, but just really perplexing. It's got to be a house cat. House cats love to just do this shit. They do it in my car. But anyway, we have brake rotors now. Alright, so I haven't done anything except pop the hood, make sure we still had all the fluids, and reconnect the battery. And I'm going to see if this thing will spring to life in this like 93 degree weather with no ether and whatever glow plugs we can get. See, we have glow plugs now. We didn't have them a minute ago. So, I'm going to give it one glow plug cycle. You're going to have to sit through that. And then we're going to see if it springs to life. Click. Let's see what happens. Pedal. Yeah, nothing. Alright, so she may be an ether only kind of girl. 5 cycles, let's see if that makes a difference. Nothing. So yeah, she's an ether kind of girl. Alright, one more cycle, snorty ether. Let's see if that does anything. Yep, She just needs ether to prime. So I have a sneaking suspicion that the glow plugs don't do fucking anything. Alright, I'm gonna cruise her around the block and see if the brakes work. And whether or not I get heat stroke is to be seen. I'm gonna see if I can roll this window down a little bit, because it's hot. Oh, I'm getting nothing. That's not a good sign. Well, we're moving along at a good clip now. She's got plenty of life in her. She had quite a lot of pep. Also, I've got the heater core on, and I think it's working, because it's heating the fuck out of me. But it seems like the brake caliper issue is back. It takes it a minute to liven up, but I got one good pull out of her, and she's back in about the same spot in the same place in the road again. So I'm gonna run her to the end of the road and then turn her back and bring her, because I'm not certain I trust the thermostat, but it's telling me 80. And yep, I'm getting that nasty whop again. Lord, I can make that joke, I'm Italian. Well, I don't think it's the heater core, because I put it on cold now and it's still heating the hell out of me. I think it's just that hot out. Brake is not as bad this time. I think we're just going to self-clearance these fuckers. Yeah, I don't want to, you know, destroy the brake caliper, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to buy them anyway. She's staying pretty cold, you know, for as hot as it is out today. It's, you know, low 90s. You know, she's staying below 90 degrees C, so I call that a win. I think we fixed the cooling problem. But yeah, definitely issue with that brake caliper. I don't think it's the bearing, because, well, I mean, the brakes went out the last time, so it's got to be that. But yeah, we'll see if, see, she's heating up as I'm coasting. See if we have brakes. Brakes work, but they're shit again. Yep, there they went. Brake pedal is extremely hard. Oh, there it is. Now we have some brakes. Yeah, definitely brake issue. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to driving and try not to die. Riveting. Alright, so maybe we won't drive this thing again until the brakes are done. Holy fuck, 380? Oh, you can see the fucking metal that's melted. It's like a griddle. What's the brake caliper at? The brake caliper's only 180. Yeah, we're fine. 400, that's fine. Yeah. Brakes are supposed to be 400 degrees, right guys? Oh hell, anyway, I guess that's it for driving this thing for a while. I can smell like burning steel. Like, you know how it smells when you take an angle grinder to a slab of steel? That's how the brakes smell. And yeah, the wheel is hot to the touch, so yeah, we're not gonna do that again. Just listen to this. Yeah, you're never supposed to do that, but I'm literally going to have to overhaul this entire brake system, so. That's how you know your brakes are hot. Yeah, brake rotors just love getting heat stress like that. You know, it really brings out the character. It's like Damascus steel. It just brings out all the folds and bends, relieves all that stress, you know, just turns them into the... And it's like a roller coaster. It brings out all the little waves. You want your brake rotors to be nice and warped. It's still boiling. And this is cold water. This is out the well. Come on. Don't fight me. Alright, let's see how this one is. Oh yeah, she loves it. Better than boiling my brake fluid, I guess. Yeah, they stuck. Maybe that's why she was chronically overheating. I know I've said that a million times, but for, you know, having to fight 4 of those, well, actually 3 of those. I don't think that one's boiling. Yeah, that one's not boiling hot. That one was only 180, which is reasonable except for how little I used it. Yeah. At the very least, that massive amount of heat stress I just subjected the rotors, calipers, and pads to should probably help free them up a bit so I can get them off. Yeah, never do this. Like, seriously, never do this. But I'm gonna keep doing it because it's funny. Okay, one quick thing, hopefully. Oh god, I said the words. I read somewhere that if your tack doesn't work, there's this thing called an OVP relay, an over voltage protection relay, up here underneath the passenger dashboard, and that has a fuse in it. And if that fuse blows, your AC goes out, your tack doesn't work, and your EGR stops working. And that's there in place to protect the computer electronics in the EGR, as well as a bunch of other stuff. It also controls the tack, as well as the, I'm assuming, the climate control system. So considering that this thing has a tack that doesn't work, and an AC compressor that doesn't work, I have a sneaking suspicion that that relay is either burnt out or the fuse is popped. So I'm going to attempt to get in here. It should just be these two Phillips heads. 3 Phillips head, and hopefully that one isn't also seized. Get up in there, pull that unit out, check the fuse. It's just like a standard automotive fuse, so stick a new one in there, and we'll see if it works. And if the fuse is not blown, swap it anyway, try it again, and then probably have to buy one. Alright, so a couple things. Wasp nest. I'm guessing the mouse brought that in. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's not doo-doo. It's like tar. I don't know what this is. It's like asphalt. There's just a fuck huge glob of this stuff. What the hell is this? I hope that's not important, because it ain't doing nothing if it is. Oh god, it's nasty. Alright, okay, good. Now it's going to stick. Yeah, that's like asphalt. Or like tar. Seriously. That was all over what I believe is the HVAC valve. Yeah. Well, there's even more of it up there. I guess that was something for the AC line. Anyway, here's the mouse nest. Luckily, this just comes off. We're right full of acorns. So I'm going to try and wedge this in here and dump it out. There's a piece of the... Ugh. Come on. Oh, a mud dauber nest. I think that might have kept them out of the HVAC system proper. Interesting. This car is just full of surprises, and not the good kind. Well, I probably have hantavirus already. Come on, Lord, it just keeps coming. Alright, we'll finish that up later. But anyway, those are the current surprises. A mud dauber nest, a wasp nest, a rat nest, and a hot mess. But here is the OVP relay, and this should hopefully just come right out. Alright, there we are, there's the fuse. That was the orientation fuse sticking out that way for future Tom. And don't know if that's popped or not, but I'll try and pull it. Well, the Mycin were definitely in the HVAC system. Great. May have to turn the car on. Try and blow some of that out. Awesome. Hopefully there's not any dead baby mice in here. That would suck. Alright, well the fuse is fine, but this thing does make this noise. Which, I mean, it is a relay, so it may supposed to make that noise, or it may not. Anywho, I guess we'll add that to the list of expensive electrical components I'll have to buy whenever this thing gets roadworthy. And go back to looking at mechanical stuff. Guess I'm going to throw that back in. Maybe cleaning up the contacts might help. I'm sure it won't. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's probably blown. Could not get this to go back in. It seems like it's broken, which, you know, was obvious. So we'll probably have to, like, zip tie that back into place or something. We'll drill a hole through here and just zip tie it through the vent. Like that. It's good enough. There's my mouse nest. Not a lot of poop, so that's nice. Alright, well, we got her back in. I'm assuming by the fact that all of these plugs have been removed in the past, that This may have been something someone was looking at, and the fact that that fuse is not blown. Yeah, so maybe someone looked at that and they saw it and went, oh, that's too much money, and then didn't get one. That's my thought at least, or it could have been related to this. We don't know, but we'll put that on the back burner like the entire car. Turkeys. Look at all them things. I'm sorry I cut all of your grass yesterday, turkeys. Alright, it's a beautiful morning, the sun's up, the birds are singing, and that means I have good light to film. So I think what I'm going to do this morning before I run off to work is I'm just going to hose this whole thing down in degreaser, and then hose all the degreaser off, and we're just going to ignore all the fiddly electronic bits and all the plastic, and we're just going to cover it all in this extremely powerful detergent and just hope it doesn't ruin everything. And then we're going to come back here, spray it all off with the hose, and then let it air dry. So haven't touched this thing in 3 weeks or so. The radiator has lost a little bit of fluid, and it's got some gunk on it. As you can see down in there, some smuts. But I poked it, and it's just like residual garbage in the system floating back up. It's not oil. It has absolutely no oily character to it at all. So that's good. I don't think it's exhaust or anything like that. Not diesel fuel getting in there. It's just like rust and chunkulates of coagulated coolant from ages past. Look at this cool ass bug. I think that's an imperial moth. Here's my hand for scale. This is a big bug. Alright, so we have 4 different flavors of engine cleaner. We have classic, modern, extra classic, and extra generic. So I think I'm just going to use up what I got left of this guy right here, and then probably this one, and I'll save the old one, the gooderist one, for later. And then we'll take this guy and just spray down anything I see that I think needs a little bit extra sauce on it. We'll let this sit for about 30 minutes and come out here and hose it. Okay, change of plans. This one's got about maybe a third left in it, and this one's about half empty. So we're going to waste those first. And I guess I'll do this side of the engine in the generic, and I'll do that side of the engine in the extra classic, and we'll see which does better. I used up both cans, so we're going to let those marinate in Flavor Town here for about 15 minutes. Come back 8:30, hose it all off. And hopefully our entire engine should look like that, rather than that. I don't think it will, but a man can dream. A man can dream. Well, that did far less than anticipated, and even farther less than I was hoping. So that's about the best it did, was the top of the valve cover. But down here on this, you know, it got the stuff off of the block itself, but it didn't get any of this crap off of the head. And still a lot of the chunks down there on the water pump housing, as well as the vacuum pump, still pretty chunky. It did help, you know, it got maybe half of the really huge stuff off. Maybe less, maybe a third of the really huge stuff. But, like, yeah, it didn't do a whole crazy lot. Also, I think it made my hoses crunchy. Because I come down in here and I squeeze my radiator hoses and they go... I already squeezed most of them so you can't hear it, but they were going when I squeezed them. So that's probably a really bad sign. But whatever, I sprayed it all, so this should be good. Oh, hey, what is that? Is this a filter? What the fuck is this? Why is there a filter on my vacuum line? Huh. Anyway, that's strange. Yeah, look at that shit. That's a filter. It's not a diaphragm. Why is that on the airline? What the fuck? Anyway, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. But, she's slightly less greasy now. Well, now that I let her soak in some heat for the last 5 hours or so, she actually looks a fair bit better. I mean, that looks nice and clean up here. The oil kept all of the aluminum corrosion off, it looks like. So now that's two-tone, which is annoying. Looks like there's something on here. I don't know what this stuff is that's peeling off. There's more of it down there on the block. But yeah, it did a little bit more than I thought it did. It still doesn't look great, but it actually was doing something, so that's good. Also, it looks like I finally got all of the air out of the diesel line, so that's nice. Yeah, there's just always been a bubble in that filter. Still don't know what that thing is, but she looks just like 20% cleaner than before. Alright, so I was over here just poking around at the car, not doing anything useful at all. And there's this piece of Romex that's been like underneath the bumper this whole time, and I finally decided to yank on it and see what the hell it was. And when it came on out, I realized, well, hell, that's a male end of just a standard wall plug, which is not going to come off one-handed, and it even looks factory, like that's supposed to be there. And when I traced it back, it's connected to the bottom of the block, and it looks like it's not just some sort of random power outlet. We might have a fucking block heater. So I'm gonna look into that, but that would be really slick if we did. I bet if I plug this in, the whole car will just catch fire. So we're probably never going to use it, but that's interesting. Just to note that we have that. We may try that instead of ether next time. Or maybe I'll just change the fucking glow plugs. Uh-oh, Mossy's been stolen. Again. Not really, she's over there. We're finally moved into this house, but, well, it's a process, but as you can see, we did actually clean some crud off of the engine bay, because there's a black spot there, and as you could tell by the fact that all the grass is very dead, she leaks diesel, and it just sort of exudes a toxic aroma. And also, it looks like the rats or the raccoons or something have been using the old boats and Mercedes as a little walking trail, because there's just a line cut in the grass, which is interesting. But yeah, she fires up just fine when it's, like 97 degrees out. I don't even think she needs ether. You know what? Let's go fire her up. She's been sitting cold for the last 2 hours or so, so we'll go see if she just, to life without any ether. That'd be nice. All right, no ether, no glow plugs. Come on. No ignition? There she goes. That's our first ever... Will you hush up, doohickey? That's our first ever start without ether in this bad boy. Although I did have the thing running with just a squirt. Will you shut up? Good Lord. Thank you. Although I did fire up with ether, I don't know, hour and a half ago, something like that. So yeah, I think she also leaks diesel to some degree, so that's nice. I'm over here at the thrift store, and oh, that's what one of those is supposed to look like. Man, mine is a piece of shit. Well, in a shocking turn of events, we got another mouse. I don't know how the hell he got in here, but I came in here to grab the PB blaster, and thought, it smells worse than normal, and turned over and there's a dead mouse. So, yeah, guess I'll reset the trap. I guess I should probably bring all the ones I took out of here because I thought I had the mouse problem fixed. Great, more wiring chewed up. Alright, I'm on another tangent now. I got really thinking about oil pressure today, and this is our oil pressure cinder line right here. Connects down there to the bottom of the oil filter housing, runs up through the firewall up here, comes out and hits the gauge. And I have absolutely never, not once, seen this gauge move in any capacity. However, even after, a complete oil change and oil filter change, I've seen oil on the cam lobes, on the camshaft. So I know we have oil flow, which means we have to have oil pressure. You can't have flow and not have some amount of pressure. You can't have oil on top of the camshaft on an overhead cam engine and not have some sort of pressure to push that oil. May not have a lot, but we have some. So I seriously think this gauge is just frozen. And I mean, if you look at it, it's the only gauge that is orange with rust and there is just this rust streak coming out the bottom of it. And if I come up here and I slap the dash, I don't know if you can see it, but the coolant temp gauge does this, and the fuel gauge does this. And if I slap over here, the RPM gauge does this. The tach doesn't because it's on a spring. So I'm just convinced that that gauge is just frozen. And I think what I'm going to do is pull that fitting off the bottom of the oil filter housing, hook up some compressed air, and see if this gauge moves at all. Actually, you know, that sounds like I'm gonna get oil everywhere and then potentially break the hose. So I think I'm probably just going to pull the instrument panel out at some point, which I've been meaning to do but haven't. And I think I just get in there with a flat blade screwdriver and just comes out. And see, I have to disconnect everything too. It's a pain, which is why I haven't done it. Get in there and pull that gauge out and just see if it is slagged or not. And I'm hoping it's slagged, because if it's not slagged, that's a bad sign. Alright, so I think I've pretty well confirmed that the gauge is slagged. Thankfully, the front cover of the instrument panel is falling off, so I was able to shove a zip tie in there. And if you look over here on the speedometer, you know, nice and free. You look over here on the tachometer, you know, nice and free. I don't even really have to put any pressure on it. It just moves. Over here to the fuel gauge, if I can line it up correctly, you know, perfectly free. Same goes with the temp gauge, oil pressure gauge. Doesn't really do much. So we'll just fix the problem, and if I can hook this thing on here, there we go. Now we have oil pressure. Look at that, problem solved. Just go on there. I'm not gonna, you know, I want to make it believable. We just always have 2 bars of oil pressure now. Yeah. So that's supposed to just free float, and it takes, it initially took a non-insignificant amount of force to get that to move. I'm going to poke around with it a little bit, see if I can get it to free up some. It seems a little bit freer now than originally. I had to hook this hole on the zip tie initially and go like this and pull it up. So I think it's rust in place, but I don't think it's slagged. I think it's just, anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I think it's borked, and there's not enough pressure to move the gauge at all, period. So I'm going to poke around with it, see if I can get it to free up some, and then maybe it'll work in some capacity. We'll see. Alright, it didn't take too long, but I've got it, I believe, to the point now where it'll spring back. See, like that. Come on. Can't do it with, need 2 hands for this. Forgive me. Alright, I got it now to the point where it'll spring back. It's still, it was sticking at 1. Now it's sort of sticking down here. So just working at that little bit has helped tremendously. And it is now starting to rain, and I need to get the hell out. But we may have an oil pressure gauge now. That would be nice. Well, I accidentally left the battery hooked up for a month, and I gave her just a whiff of the good stuff, and I'll be fucked. We got 2.5 bar of oil pressure cold. That's fucking nice. Oh man, that's fucking beautiful. That takes such a load off of my mind. Oh man, let's go rip her around the yard, you know, just for old time's sake. Let's see how far we get before the brakes lock up. Oh, and we got that buzzer coming back. We're pegged out on oil pressure, my man. Not sure if the gauge is stuck or what, but oh man, that's beautiful. Alright, so just drove around the yard a bit. I don't think it returns, or I just have fuck tons of oil pressure. Let's shut her off and see what happens. Well, she's just a dieselin'. Let's open the door and see if that does it. Nope. What do I have that's vacuum that I can open up to make it stop? Well, I guess I'll go kill it and see if that stops. I didn't even have to get out of the car and it stopped. Oh, hey, and there it went. So, it's a bit sticky. I don't think it's reading accurately, but it did go back. So that's interesting. Let's see if it comes back on. Yeah, it builds. Sits at 2.5 until I give her some revs. And kill it. Yeah, I think we have an oil pressure gauge. Nice. And the beep boop agrees. Alright, so this is the end of the old Mossy episode here. I got fuck all accomplished other than messing with that oil pressure sensor and probably one or two other very minor things. I don't know how long this video has been going. I think it's been going for like 3 months on my end. Yeah, I just finally finished moving. All the shit is finally in the garage except for like... everything that's in there is in there. There's just a couple minor things we have to get, and the house closes next week. And we're finally fucking moved out. And I can finally start working on this piece of fucking shit right here. Oh lord, I have not had a weekend in like 3 months. So, I need this beer, and hopefully very soon, I'll actually be able to fucking do something like belts and brakes and drive this thing somewhere and maybe blow it up. I don't know. But yeah, another fucking video of nothing happening. So, if you like this kind of shit, if you want to see something actually cool happen, go down there, like the video, comment, tell me what you want me to do with this fucking thing. And, yeah, if you want to see the rest of this adventure, you gotta subscribe, so go down there, smash that fucking subscribe button, and until next time, I'm out.